podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to ZPG Ice Maidens, the only dedicated Women's National Ice Hockey League podcast.
Part of the ZPG network of UK ice hockey podcasts.
We're in partnership with
the Hockey Archive, hockey clothing for hockey people.
Worn by the best
and hated by the rest.
Listen to the ZPG network.
Get a 10% discount on everything
at hockeyartclothing.co.uk.
Just enter the code ZP10 on checkout to get your discount.
We're also part of the Sports Social Podcast Network,
the biggest sports podcast network in Europe,
boasting over 450 podcasts
for more than 15 different sports.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode on ZPG Ice Maidens. We've a lot to get through this week again, so let's get started. There were 5 games in the Elite League and we start with Whitley Bay's game against Streatham Storm. The Whitley Bay Beacons suffered a first home loss of the season to a Streatham Storm side that were ruthless in front of goal last weekend. Beacons reunited Claire Turnbull with Steph Towns and Abby Coulshaw on the first line, with Kimberly Brennan coming onto the second line with Becky Castnerwood and Ruby Newlands. Amanda McWilliams, Jess Bridger and Emily Luck continued on the third line, with the latter two heading north to Edinburgh straight after the game to play for Caledonia in their Division 1 game. Casey Trail, Caitlin Morrison, Caitlin Stocks, Jade Cito and Heidi Dunn rotated on defence, with Sam Bolwell in goal. Streatham arrived with 8 forwards. Chelmsford youngster Connie Fidler made her debut on the top line with captain Izzy Whiteley and Savannah Johnson, while Canadian pair Maria Murray and Christina McLean lined up with Angela Taylor. Laura Cope and Zuzana Dobrovolna formed a third set of wingers, for which both Whiteley and Taylor rotated on. On defence, former Beacons defender Beth Milne partnered Megan Sullivan, with Katie Dadd moving back to the blue line alongside Jane Andrill. Charlotte Horvath started in goal. Despite a positive start from the opening face-off by the home side, it was the Storm who took an early lead off their first shot when Jane Andrill fired her side in front. That seemed to energise the visiting side, who quickly doubled their lead by the 5-minute mark. Storm won a defensive zone face-off and charged up the ice. Angela Taylor heading a 2-on-1 rush before slipping the puck over to Zuzana Dobrovolna to finish for a 2-goal lead. The Beacons needed a reaction, and quick. They got one just after the midpoint of the period, when a quick breakout saw Caitlin Morrison advance down the right wing boards before firing home from an acute angle. Going into the second period, the Beacons were confident of drawing back level, but another quick start from the Storm had them on the back foot once again. Just 26 seconds had elapsed before a pass from the right wing picked out Izzy Whiteley in the high slot for her to make it 3-1. The puck taking an unfortunate bounce just in front of Sam Bolwell's pads. Soon after, American defender Drill fired from the neutral zone, with the puck taking several bounces before sneaking in for what would have been her side's 4th goal. However, the Storm still had players in an offside position, so the goal was correctly waved off. Beacons used that as a warning and quickly shifted the momentum back in their favour. From an efficient change, Becky Castlewood won the puck back before finding Kimberly Brennan, who in turn laid the puck off perfectly into the path of Ruby Newlands. The GB international was onto it in a flash and advanced into the offensive zone with a deft backhand to take the first Storm defender out the game before moving back onto her forehand, cutting inside the final defender and firing home top shelf from the low slot. A 1-goal game meant everything was finally poised. However, the Storm restored their 2-goal advantage 4 minutes later, which dealt the Beacons a major blow. The South London side did well behind the back of the net, keeping the pressure inside the offensive zone. Maria Murray, who had a strong game throughout, stole the puck back just outside the crease before sending a pass over to Christina McLean to tap home. Whitley looked for a reaction, but in Charlotte Horvath found a goalie who denied them time and time again. In fact, the only time the Storm beat Beacons last season was when Horvath was between the pipes, and she was on a mission to deny her opponents once again. With 2 goals to make up, Whitley needed a positive start to the final period. With 2 minutes played, the third line brought some energy, which the Storm struggled to control. Amanda McWilliams had a really strong game throughout, and her link-up with Jess Bridger saw the Beacons regain possession of the puck. Emily Luck then carried down the left wing before she shot home on the blocker side for her first Elite League goal. With over 17 minutes remaining, it was a strike which had her team back in it once again. But Streatham were impressive in that every time the Beacons struck back, they would counter with a sucker punch. 4 minutes after Emily's goal, the Storm netted their fifth of the game. Angela Taylor collected from behind her own net and went coast to coast as she cut in between two defenders to open up a shooting opportunity and fired home top shelf blocker side to give Sam Barwell no chance in net. Beacons continued to apply the pressure, but Horvath remained resolute in the Storm goal to help her side to a deserved win. After the game, I spoke to Streatham Storm pair Katie Dadd and Connie Fidler. I'm catching up with Streatham Storm pair Connie Fidler and Katie Dadd. So first of all, thank you both for joining me. I'll come to you first, Katie. Big win today, wasn't it?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It's been a great game, different leagues, different players all coming in and having a good game, just working hard, working together, just kind of working as a team, and obviously it's great to see, and obviously a big win coming out with it as well, so a good win for us.
Yeah, Connie, this is your elite debut, so how did you find it?
I found it really good, to be fair. It was a lot harder than the leagues I've played in the past. Like last season I was doing Chelmsford League 2 and League 1, but it's definitely a big step up. The work ethic is amazing out with the girls.
Yeah, I mean, you look like you're enjoying it out there. You get to play with some top players like Sir Vizzy Whitley and Ange Taylor as well, so I guess you can learn a lot from those sort of players, can't you?
Definitely, they're so helpful. Like after every shift they're helping me, telling me what I did right, telling me what I can do to improve on. It's a great help.
Yeah, and what did you think to the game today?
I think it was a really good game. It was nice to obviously have my first game with the team and come out with a win. So yeah.
Going back to you, Katie, new team for this season. So how have you settled in so far?
Obviously coming in with a new team from Queen Bees, it was different because obviously I've come in as a forward, but obviously this game I came in as a D, stepped up a little bit for the Ds as one of the players couldn't make it today. But absolutely lovely team, love them to bits, especially playing with Ange. One of my dreams, it was one of my dreams when I played GB under 18s with her. Absolutely love her. And obviously playing with Viv and Charlotte Horvath, obviously coming in through the GB squad as well. So definitely great team to play with. Yeah,
as you say, you obviously Ange coached you for GB 18s and you've played previously as a forward at Guildford, so it's not a role that's too unfamiliar for you, is it?
No, definitely not. Obviously, first year when I was 14 playing for Guildford, I was a forward and I played forward for boys at Guildford as well. So I have a little bit of experience to play GB, two games as a forward in Turkey and in Iceland as well. I played forward with Ange and James. But I went straight back to D. I love playing D, but this year I wanted to change it up. I want to get some points on my name, so I went for the shot and played forward.
That's great, yeah. Obviously, you both play for Chelmsford as well, so yeah, that's looking like an exciting team as well. A lot of young players coming through, but look like the Cobras could be a team to be reckoned with in that division.
Definitely. We've got quite a few coming through that play in the Elite League, like we've got Evie Lawrence, we've got Zara Berwick who signed for us, and we've got defenders like Aurora Dobbs, Christina Powell, a lot of new players coming up through the system, who've got a big name for themselves.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for joining me and wish you both the best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks for having us.
Solihull Vixens clinched another impressive win last Saturday when they put 8 goals past a strong Guildford Lightning side. Katie Henry gave the West Midlands side the lead 6 minutes in, with Laura Horwood and Megan Burton getting the helpers. The home side doubled their lead on the power play at 12:41 when Robin Mullen fired home, although both Henry and Horwood played a key part in the build-up. But despite that 2-goal lead, the Lightning came back into the game when defender Sam Payne put home Mila Peroni's assist early into the second period. The visitors then drew back level moments later when Isabella Zuzhinska made it 2-2. Any thoughts of the Lightning clinching a famous victory on the road were soon extinguished though, when the Vixens fired in 3 goals in the final 10 minutes of the period. Jodie Alderson-Smith netted a short-handed goal at 31:02 before Katie Henry scored her second of the game 4 minutes later. Robin Mullen then scored her second power play of the game before the period was over. Hannah Ware then scored a minute into the final period to put the Vixens firmly in control. Laura Sear did get one back off an Ellie Porter feed with less than 10 minutes to go, but Ware's second soon after from Billy Thacker's assist restored her side's 4-goal advantage before Mullen notched her hat-trick marker with 20 seconds to go off an Erin Roach assist. Unsurprisingly, Mullen was named Vixens Player of the Game for her hat-trick, while Laura Sear was named the Lightning's after scoring her first goal for the club. The following day saw the Vixens travel to Hull to face a strong Kingston Diamonds side that were celebrating their 1000th game. Robin Mullen scored her 4th goal of the weekend early on via a power play to set her side on the path for another victory. Jodie Alderson-Smith scored 8 minutes into the second period, with Erin Roach and Maddie Wright getting the helpers. Katie Henry clinched victory inside the final 6 minutes of the period when she scored from Alicia Potts and Alderson-Smith. Player of the game went to Kayla Poole for a shutout on her season debut for the Vixens. Incredibly, the Vixens' top line of Katie Henry, Jodie Alderson-Smith and Laura Horwood have combined for 43 points across the first 4 games. The previous day, Kingston made the journey down to Slough to face the Queen Bees. Abby Sylvester gave the home side the lead after just 9 minutes when she scored off assists from Lily Endicott and Rachel Cartwright. Ellie Wallace doubled the Queen Bees' lead early into the second period, with Estelle Ip getting the assist on the play, before Talia Derriton-Wright scored 5 minutes later to make it 3-0. Kingston's Lizzie Saunders denied Queen Bees goalie Amelia McGinley a shutout when she scored off a Katie Marsden feed inside the final 5 minutes of the game. B. Leicester was Kingston's player of the game, with Lizzie Saunders named Diamond of the Day. Defender Ellie Shaw was named Queen Bees player of the game. After Streatham's thrilling win on Tyneside the day before, they returned to home ice against the Queen Bees with a bit of a bump. Estelle Ip netted against her former side to give the reigning champions lead 8 minutes in. It was also the Hong Kong-born forward's first goal for the Queens since arriving over the summer. Rachel Cartwright and Ellie Wallace spotted the Queen Bees a 3-goal lead by 13:36. Julia Bevan, who missed a win over Whitley the day before, returned in goal and made 20 saves in the first period to help stem a rampant Queen Bees attack. She made a further 12 saves in the second period, but Norwegian Leah Flahr extended the visitors' lead with less than 5 minutes remaining in the period when she scored her first goal for the club. Jen Lawrence did get one back for the Storm before the period was over, but 3 unanswered goals by the Queen Bees confirmed a convincing 7-1 victory ahead of the big showdown with Solihull this weekend. Amelia Williams, Rachel Cartwright and Hannah Byram all found the net in a span of 5 minutes. The hard-working Lucy Ebbinger was named Streatham's player of the game, while Estelle Ip skated off with the Queen Bees award. Moving on now to Division 1 North, the Caledonia Steel Queens had another home doubleheader last weekend. This time Nottingham Vipers were the visitors, but the early season pace-setters found it much more difficult to break down the East Midlands side than they were perhaps expecting. Caitlin Woolley was outstanding in the Vipers' goal, making an incredible 72 saves. However, she was powerless to prevent the home side from taking the lead on 9 minutes, when Asa Kenzabekova converted on the power play from defender Jess Malloy. A 5-on-3 opportunity allowed the Queens to double their lead at 26:02 when Jess Bridger scored from Beth Diaz-Schoon. But straight from the ensuing face-off, the Vipers went up the other end of the ice and cut the arrears with a short-handed marker. Alia Hemming putting home Olivia Oxley's feed just 7 seconds later. It was the first goal Queens had conceded all season, but they responded in a positive manner when finding the net twice in 19 seconds either side of the game's midpoint. First Canadian defender Michelle Davidson fired home to restore her side's 2-goal advantage before Belfast-born youngster Beth Nelson scored on her senior debut. Queens made the game safe in the final period when Emily Luck netted for a second time that afternoon, albeit for two different sides. She scored short-handed from a Davidson assist before Taiwanese forward Cynthia Tao completed the scoring at 6-1. Emily was named Queen's Player of the Game, with Jordan Troop the Queen's blinder. The following morning saw the two sides meet once again, although it was a far more ruthless Queen's side the Vipers had to face. Jess Bridger opened the scoring at 9:44 from Jess Malloy, before Sophie Campbell put home Vicky Carson's assist less than 3 minutes later. Carson then made it 3-0 before the period was over, with Laura O'Sullivan and Nikki Russell getting the helpers. It was also a welcome return to the ice for the former after the Irish international had missed the last few games due to injury. Queens exploded offensively in the second period, adding 5 more goals to their tally. Asa Kenza-Bekova made it 4-0 from Kate Gillis and Bridger 6 minutes into the middle session. Vicky Carson combined with Maggie Agnew to make it 5 soon after, before Jess Bridger got her second of the game from Gillis and Kenza-Bekova 2 minutes later. A minute after that, Nikki Russell found the net, with O'Sullivan and young defender Violet Mayer getting the helpers. Nottingham pulled one back with 4 minutes of the period remaining, Olivia Oxley finding the net from Emma Wilkinson. Jess Malloy then made it 8-1 just seconds later. Nicole Russell scored 3 minutes into the final period. Jess Bridger collected her 4th point on the play, while Laura O'Sullivan grabbed her 3rd assist. Vicky Carson completed the scoring with less than 10 minutes remaining, with Sophie Campbell and Cynthia Towell getting the assists to make it 10-1. Vicky was named Player of the Game, with Cynthia coming away with the Queen's Blinder Award. Kingston Diamonds made their season debut in Tier 2 last weekend when they hosted Sheffield Shadows in the first of 4 local derbies for this campaign. Millie Fulbourn scored the only goal of the first period when she netted against her former side at 9:56. Kate Taylor scored from Jess Wooding early into the second period, and 2 minutes later the Diamonds were 3 goals to the good, Mia Forbes combining with Lydia Lutwich to put the Diamonds in complete control. Soon after, Taylor grabbed her second of the game, with Danny Newlove and Jess Wooding applying the assists. 4 seconds later, Kingston scored again, with Wooding making it 5-0. Sheffield did get themselves on the scoreboard when defender Charlotte Perry got one back a minute later, but Kingston weren't done just yet. Ketz Robinson made it a 5-goal game once again soon after, with Taylor and Wooding collecting further points with the assists. Grace Cooper then made it 7-1 by the end of the period, Kiana Tate getting her first assist of the campaign, while Taylor grabbed her 4th of the game. Things didn't get much better for Sheffield going into the final period. Jess Wooding netted our short-handed marker, with Lydia Lutwich grabbing her second assist of the game. Shadows did balance the book somewhat when they scored off the same power play to make it 8-2, Emma Taylor-Lonsdale netting her first goal for the club since transferring from Grimsby over the summer. Alicia Potts and Kelly Walsh grabbing the assists. But on a day which belonged to Kingston, it was they who had the final word. Lydia Lutwich netted with 11 seconds to go, with Millie Fulbourn and Jazz Little adding the assists. Emily Johnson made 27 saves to help the Diamonds to victory. Holly Neenan was named Shadows Player of the Game. This might only be game 1 for the Hull Bay side, but they have served notice to Caledonia that they are still the team to beat, for now. In Division 1 South, Cardiff Comets hosted the Firebees in what was an exciting 11-goal thriller between the two sides. Izzy Eggington gave the visitors the lead at 5:44 after combining with Sophie Kingsbury. But when Liv Taylor converted a penalty shot at 13:23, the two sides were back level. Back came the Firebees, who restored their lead just over a minute later when defender May Sullivan fired them back in front. Things would get even better for the Slough Bay side when Sullivan turned provider after setting up Josie Clark-Pyatt moments later. Liz Shackley pulled one back for the Comets to make it a 1-goal game. However, Izzy Eggington netted for a second time to make it 4-2. Alani Hutchinson collected an assist on the play. The two sides were generating chances in equal amounts. The Comets' young goalie Ella Lawrence faced 35 shots during the contest, with her opposite number in the Firebees goal, Helen Oates, facing 34. It was the home side who made the better start to the middle session when Liv Taylor bagged her second of the game, with Gemma Kelland getting the helper. That made it a one-goal game once again, but the Firebees came back into it late on when Izzy Eggington notched her hat-trick marker inside the final 4 minutes of a period to make it 5-3. Despite having 2 goals to make up, Cardiff were still very much in the game, but when Cadence Deer netted inside the final 8 minutes to make it 6-3, it edged the Firebees that much closer to victory. Shona Thomas then added another a minute later, with Hannah Dawson collecting an assist on the play. With less than 2 minutes to go, Liv Taylor completed her hat-trick to make it 7-4, with Shackley grabbing the assist. Maddie Davis was named Cardiff's player of the game, and no surprise really that Izzy Eggington was named the Firebees player of the game after her hat-trick. Goalie Helen Oates was named spirit of the game. Chelmsford Cobras collected a good 5-1 road win over Milton Keynes Falcons last weekend. Charmaine Easton gave the Essex side the lead at 7-16, with Guildford Lightning forward Evie Lawrence collecting an assist on the play. But with 24 seconds left in the opening period, the home side drew back level. Finnish defender Ninni Taskanen scored from Samantha Ruff to make it 1-1 at the end of the first. Chelmsford got off to a great start to the second period, scoring 3 times in the opening 8 minutes. Charmaine Easton grabbed her second of the game 53 seconds into the session, with Katie Smith doubling the advantage 3 minutes later. Evie Lawrence grabbed her second assist of the game on that goal, before Easton went on to complete her hat-trick moments later. Easton's long-time line mate Brittany Stoneman collecting the assist. Evie Lawrence sealed the win 15 seconds into the final period when she put home Steph Ferrier's feed. Evie's performance saw her come away with the Cobras Player of the Game award, while Sammy Ruff was named Player of the Game for the Falcons. In Division 2 North, Sheffield Shadows grabbed their first win of the Division 2 season with a 3-2 win over Telford Wrekin Raiders, a side that comfortably beat them just a week ago. The Shropshire side took an early lead when Maggie Whitmore scored a beautiful backhanded goal at 2:36, but the home side were back level just over a minute later when Jennifer Smith scored from Leah Cheetham. The Shadows edged ahead as the period drew to a close, Rowan Yellett-Bilby netting on the power play from Eleanor Shaw. The second period was an amazing period of defensive hockey from both sides, meaning the period remained scoreless. Tegan Hyatt was certainly the busier of the 2 goalies, making 52 saves in the game and 20 in the first period alone. Sheffield extended their lead inside the first 5 minutes of the final period, Elsa Williams scoring from Chloe Carter. Michelle Madziak did pull a goal back for Telford with 36 seconds to go after a good link-up with Becky Craig. That allowed the Raiders to pull Hyatt for the extra attacker and go for the equaliser. However, Sheffield held on to bring themselves back into playoff contention. Kirsty Robson and Chloe Day split duties in goal for the Shadows, making a combined 19 saves. Shadows' Leah Cheetham and Raiders' Maggie Whitmore were named player of the game. In Division 2 South, we had a fiery matchup between Cambridge and Oxford. The Kodiaks took the spoils in Game 1 of the Varsity Series with the Midnight Stars. Defender Claire Lebry gave the Kodiaks a lead at 13:51 after blocking a shot and winning the puck to go coast to coast before sinking it past the Midnight Stars goalie Steph Taylor. But the Midnights drew back level a couple of minutes later when Amy Haddon converted on the power play off a Charmaine Cole's feed that came straight off a face-off. Cambridge made a fast start to the second session and were back in the lead just 41 seconds after a restart. Sarah Carvenan pushed the puck to Ruby Allen, who stepped over the line and fired a shot towards the Stars' net. A deflection from Christina Ashley rerouted it through the 5-hole, and the Kodiaks took the lead once again. A second goal came shortly after when Bryony Russell slid the puck behind the net to Julia Mabry, who wrapped it in behind the line, pulling the Kodiaks ahead 3-1. Alongside those goals came a handful of penalties, and tensions were rising. The third period saw a whole host of action, and the intensity increased. Steph Taylor made some incredible saves in the Oxford net, before Amy Haddon cut the Kodiaks' lead when she netted her second of the game 5 minutes into the final period. In true Kodiaks fashion, Cambridge was quick to turn the momentum and keep on top of the Stars, consistently pressing them back into their zone and making them work for possession. With just under 10 minutes to go, Ashley notched her second of the game after winning a draw in the Oxford zone and stepping around the defenders to send the puck top shelf and her side into a 4-2 lead. Moments after the Kodiaks' fourth goal, tensions rose even further when a mid-ice fight broke out. The Midnights stated they were showing Cambridge they weren't a team to be walked all over, following what was described by them as a rather nasty mid-ice check to the head on their player Lucy Dorrington. The result was 3 players from each side received major penalties and game suspensions. The Midnights' Natasha Federy received a 5+ game penalty for a dangerous act, plus a game misconduct for being the third man, or woman, in. Charlie Clements got 5+ game for fighting, plus an additional 5+ game for resisting the officials, and Charmaine Coles got 5+ game for fighting. The Kodiaks' Ruby Allen got 5+ game for fighting, Erin Russell received 5+ game for a check to the head, while Claire Ledbury got 5+ game for fighting, plus an additional game misconduct for third man or woman in. Those penalties certainly affected an already short bench Midnight side, but the Kodiaks rallied and sealed their win with a 5th and final goal from Josie Milton, as she buried it into the back of the net off a behind-the-net pass from Ashley. A fitting end to an outstanding game for Milton, who took away player of the game, with Julian Mabry earning spirit of the game. Despite the game finishing 5-2 to Cambridge, Oxford skated away with their heads held high after a phenomenal improvement on last season's scoreline, and proving they deserve their spot in the WNIHL Self 2 A-League. Goalie Steph Taylor received Oxford's Player of the Game award, with defender Ophelia Chesterman taking home the Spirit of the Game. The Southern Amazons faced off against the Bristol Huskies in the WNIHL Cup last weekend, emerging victorious with a commanding performance that saw them outshoot their opponents 88-20. Despite the overwhelming shot count, the game remained competitive until the final period. The Amazons opened the scoring in the first period when Jess Banner unleashed a powerful one-timer from a feed by Chantal Eyre. Shortly after, Selena Payne showcased her skills, deking past the Bristol netminder Rebecca Pearce to score her first senior league goal with a beautiful backhand finish. The second period saw the Huskies regroup, successfully shutting out the Amazons and keeping the game tight. Amy Parfitt capitalised on a breakaway opportunity, slotting one past the Solent goalie to bring the score to 2-1 by the end of the second. However, the third period saw the Amazons find their stride. Eyre opened the scoring with a quick goal, quickly followed by Banner's second, assisted by Eyre. Selena Payne then added to a tally, netting her second goal of the night unassisted. The Amazons capped off their scoring spree with a power play goal as Eyre finished off a rebound from Lauren Kenton's shot. Selena Payne was awarded Player of the Game for her standout performance for the Amazons. With this victory, the Solent Amazons take an early lead in the Cup standings, setting the stage for their upcoming match against Oxford in 2 weeks' time. The Huskies, though defeated, showcase resilience and determination, promising an exciting season ahead for this team. In the under-16s, the MK Storm will play their first league game in 5 years this weekend when they take on Bristol Puppies away. The team has announced that former MK Lightning player Nick Poole will coach the side, with the team focusing on enjoyment and inclusion and aiming to increase hockey participation amongst girls by giving as many as possible the chance to experience the sport in a competitive league. The Ice Bees beat Swindon Top Kittens 12-3 last Sunday. Amelia Strachan-Jones was the star of the show as she netted 4 times and came away with a Player of the Game award. Laura Sear bagged a hat-trick, while Sophia Fajcik and Grace Riley both scored twice, with Lara Cannon also found in the net. Izzy Farr was named Spirit of the Game. There are another 9 games here this weekend, with 5 due to be played on Saturday and a further 4 on Sunday. In the Elite League, the top billing goes to Solihull Vixens and the Queen Bees, who meet at Hobbs Moat Road at 6:25 p.m. on Saturday. Both teams have won all their games so far this season, so something has to give, as the 2 main protagonists for the title will look for the early psychological advantage. The following night sees the Queen Bees travel to Guildford to face a Lightning side still looking for their first points of the season. That one has a 6:35 p.m. face-off. In Division 1 North, Solway Sharks host Kingston Diamonds at 3 o'clock on Saturday. That game is due to be streamed live on the Sharks Facebook page, so please do check that one out if you can. Sunday sees Sheffield Shadows take on Nottingham Vipers at 6:50, as both sides will want to put the difficult results of the past couple of weeks behind them. On Saturday, we have part 2 of the Cambridge Kodiaks and Oxford Midnight Stars saga. And after last week's fiery encounter, are there more fireworks going to be on display this week? The game starts at 6:40 and is one surely not to be missed. Also in Division 2 South, League B gets underway, with Haringey Greyhounds at home to Bristol Huskies, and just down the road, Lee Valley Vampires take on Chelmsford Pythons. Both games face off at 5:30, so if anyone finds themselves in the North London area, why not head over to check out one of those games? On Sunday, we have Division 2 North double-header for you. Whitley Bay Beacons are at home to a Widnes Wild side that inflicted a heavy defeat on them last season. That game will be streamed live on the Beacons YouTube channel with a 5 p.m. start, while Leeds Roses face Telford Wrekin Raiders at 6:30 in what will be an early championship decider. Roses streamed most of their home games last season, so please do check on their social media pages for more details closer to game time. That's all for this week then. Bye for now.
Please make sure you're following us across all social media platforms.
to keep you fully up to date with all things WNIHL.
On Facebook,
Follow Ice Maidens, the voice of women's ice hockey.
And check out the website at icemaidens.wordpress.com
On Instagram and on Twitter.
you can find the podcast
at ZPG Ice Maidens.
And for YouTube,
you can subscribe to Zero Pucks Given.
Please like, follow, share and subscribe
it all does wonders for spreading the good word.
of the ZPG network.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.